Alright, our main topic today is point-slope form. So point-slope form does involve writing lines, and we've already learned slope-intercept form. So if you remember, slope-intercept form was y equals mx plus b. We've learned that where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. This form is a different form of writing lines. So our main equation for point-slope form would be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so these are ones, these are not commas. All right, and what we're doing with this is we're working with our m and our x1 and our y1. So x1 and y1. Now, what this means is our m, remember, would be our slope, and x1, y1 will be a point. Okay, so when you get these, when you try and do the work and you get the examples, you will be given a point and a slope, or you were given 2 points and you had to find the slope. And we'll cover both here, but this is what we're working with: is our y1, our m, and our x1. So when we do these problems and do these equations, we're not going to touch this y and this x and the minus signs. They will stay the way they are. We're only going to focus on the y1, m, and the x1. Okay. So how does this all work out? Well, let's do some examples. So let's say we're given a slope. Remember, slope is m, a slope of 5, and we're given a point of 3, 8. Okay, so let's say we're given this. So a slope of 5, a point of 3 and 8. So if you remember, our points, x and y, x is first, y is second, right? Now when we plug these into our equation here, remember, it's only going to be, this is going to be x1 and y1, okay? So we're not worried about the first y and the x here, right? It's only about the glare there. It's only worried about y1 and x1, okay? So let's plug it into what we know, okay? And that's all we're doing. We're not doing any mathing, we're not doing any solving, we're just plugging in the things that it gives us into the equation where it needs to go, okay? So we're always start off with our y minus. This is always how we start off our equations, y minus, okay? It's minus is part of the equation. We'll look at later on how we change it, but this is how we always start it off, okay? So y minus y1. So remember, our y1, look at our point. Our y1 is given to us, it is 8. So we're going to write 8, okay? Equals our m. Our m says it's 5, so m is 5. Parentheses, and then remember this x minus stays the same. And then our x1, if we look, our x1 is 3, so we write 3, close parentheses, and that's it. That's all we got to do, all right? So like I said, we're not solving anything, we're not trying to prove anything, right? All we're doing is taking the information it gives us here and plugging it into our equation here. Like I said, we only used our y1 is 8, our m is 5, and our x1 is 3. Okay, and that's all we have to do for this one. All right. So now what if we have a slope of, let's say, negative 1/2, and we have a point of 4, negative 9, okay? So once again, just taking the things, plugging it into the equation here, okay? So once again, we're starting off y minus, that's how we always start off, y minus. Our y1, we look at our point. Our y1, remember, x1, y1, our y1 is our second point. This is negative 9, so we're going to write negative 9. So remember, this minus in the equation always stays here, okay? So if your number and the point is negative, you're going to keep that negative with the number and have the minus sign there as well, okay? So we're going to have this minus negative 9 right here, okay? I use parentheses to show it's a negative number, okay? All right, equals m. Remember, m is negative 1/2. Just write it down. Don't freak out about fractions. We're just taking the fraction, moving it over here. That's all we're doing with it. And then x minus our x1, we see it's 4. So 4. Now, we're almost done. We put everything where we need to go, but we have this minus negative right here. So what we can do, if you remember, is when you have a minus negative, what does it turn into? It turns into a positive. So what we can do is we can change this front here. Instead of writing minus negative, we can write y plus 9 equals, and then bring everything else down. Okay, so you could leave it like this if you wanted to, but I prefer if you write this plus sign because this looks cleaner, right? It looks cleaner if it's having a plus instead of a minus negative there. So y plus 9 equals negative 1/2, and then times x minus 4. Okay? Let's do one more quick example. Let's give us an m of 10 and a point of -1, -7. Okay? So remember we have x1, y1. Start off our equation. Y minus our y1 would be a -7. Remember keeping the negative with the 7 and the minus there at the same time. Our m is 10. And then x minus, and our x1 is -1. Once again, keeping the negative with the 1 here. So we have minus negative here. So once again, our y1, -7, our slope, 10, our x1, -1. Okay, with the negatives keeping with both. Okay. Now, because we have these double negatives here, we can go ahead and change those because they are double negatives to positives. So this becomes y plus 7 equals 10, and then x, 1 here too, plus 1. Okay. So that's our final answer. Y plus 7 equals 10 times x plus 1. Okay? Simple, right? Yes, it is. Okay. So what if, when we're doing these equations, what if they don't give you a slope and they only give you 2 points? Well, that means we have to find the slope. Okay? So let's say they give us this. Let's say they give us 2 points, and our points are 1, 3, and 4, 5. Okay? Let's just say that. So, how do we find the slope given 2 points? Well, remember, earlier in the year we did this. We have to use our slope formula, okay? Which, if you remember, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So we have to use this to find our slope before we can plug it into our equation here, okay? So, remember to label, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, xy, xy. That's how it works. Okay? So let's plug it in. Our y2 goes first, which is 5, minus our y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 1. Okay, now we solve. Subtract the top. 5 minus 3 would be 2, over 4 minus 1, which would be 3. You can't reduce this, you can't divide it, so it stays as a fraction. Our slope is 2 over 3, 2/3, okay? So now that we found our slope, let's go ahead. We know our m is 2/3, okay? Now, in order to plug it into our equation up here, we have to pick a point, okay? Doesn't matter which point you want to pick. Pick either one. I'll go ahead and pick the first one, 1, 3. So I know our point, all right, is 1, 3, okay? And we know this is x1 and y1. So now we can go ahead and plug our information we have into our equation, starting off with our y minus. Our y1, for this time we're going to use 3, equals our m, which we found, remember, found with our equation, is 2/3 times x minus, and our x1 would be 1, 1. Minuses are fine, there's no double negatives. So there we go. Okay? So, 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, plug it into your equation here, okay? Plug it in, solve for the slope. When you find the slope, okay, pick a point, doesn't matter which one. All right, if I wanted to use, and this is just to show you, if I wanted to use the other one, 4 and 5, right, if I wanted to do this one, sorry, this glare, I know it's bad. I could do y1 as 5. All right, my slope stays the same, and then our x1 would be 4. Okay, so it's the same thing, right? So it's going to give you the same answer, all right, when it's all said and done. But you could use either one. I don't need either one. I don't need both when you do it on work. But to show you, you can use the first one or the second one. Does not matter, and then just plug it in. Okay. Let's do one more example. Sorry, we're going to leave this up here. Okay. Let's say I give us a point of -3, 2. And 4, -8. Okay. So plugging in, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. Our y2 starting off with is -8 minus our y1, which is 2, over x2, which is 4, minus our x1, which is a -3. Remember, it's a minus and a negative. Keep them both here. So let's go ahead and solve. -8 minus 2 gives us a -10, and then 4 minus -3. Remember, these turns into a positive, so 4 plus 3 would be 7. Can't reduce this. We're going to leave it just like that. -10 over 7. That's our m. Okay. Pick a point. I'm going to pick the second one this time. I'm going to pick 4 and -8. My 4 is x1. My 8 is y1. Okay. So plug it in. Y minus our y1 is -8 equals our slope we found is -10 over 7, and x minus our x1, which is 4. Boom. We have our double negative here. Let's go ahead and change that to y plus 8, and then -10 over 7, and then x minus 4. Okay, and there you go. Right, simple. Take the information, use it, plug it in to your equation. 2 points, remember your formula here, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Plug it in, solve for the slope. Pick a point, doesn't matter which one, put it in the equation, and that's your answer.